At RFDTV and Rural Radio, we know that viewers and listeners are animal lovers, one and all. You like your dogs, cats, horses, cattle. You know you own them all and love them all. And so do our friends from Nutri-Cal Animal Health. Tonight, we'll be sharing some thoughts here, discussing great products from this great company for your horses, as well as products to help your pets and their overall health as well. In fact, we'll be talking about a new product introduced for the first time on RFDTV, launched specifically for your horse. Good evening and welcome to Rural America Live. Mark Oppold, always a pleasure to welcome back our friends from Nutri-Cal. With me in studio over the next hour, Dr. Eric Alsop and Dr. Jim Lowe from Nutri-Cal. Good to have you back in here.
Thanks, Mark.
It's always great to have your team, Tabitha and all the crew here as well. So it's a great company and you're always welcome here. We have a lot of new viewers and listeners around the country, Eric, as we add homes around the country. They may be hearing the name and the company for the first time in a year as well. Sure. A quick background, if you would.
Sure, and thank you for the opportunity. Sure. I grew up in Kansas, grew up in a rural part of northwest Kansas, always had animals. Went to Kansas State in animal science and then veterinary medicine, and my first veterinary position was out in Washington State, where I met my wife, Tina.
How about that?
Who's also grew up with animals of all kinds, and so it was kind of a natural bond from the start 30-some years ago. And animals have always been part of our life through all of that.
Wow, how'd those kids grow up so fast?
Yeah, exactly. we raised 5 of them, and animals are still a very big part of all their lives. And now you can see, or even bringing in the next generation, the grandsons on that too. Mm-hmm. We managed to get them in the horses and cows. They've shown 4-H with cattle and horses, and they've all been our dogs, cats, everything. Animal has been a part of our lives and a real essential part of our family bond.
Absolutely. AQHA in Kansas, Oklahoma, competing there, I understand, through the years?
Yes, we did. Primarily, my wife and daughter competed in those shows, and then as we've been kind of empty nest for a little while. Now Tina, my wife, and I do the competition together. It's been a really important part of our weekends, and thoroughly enjoy it.
And all the products we're talking about tonight, we can't talk about all of them. We have some new ones we're going to introduce, but you use those as well on your operation and traveling with your horses.
Absolutely. I was joking with you, and it's not really joking earlier, that the first palatability test is always me, and then it's our set of animals to make sure everything's okay. It's kind of the final test before they go to market.
Well, we're anxious to share a new product tonight, and good to see you again as well,
Thanks,
Eric.
Mark.
And Dr. Jim, always good to see you as well, and a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Nice to be here, Mark. Well, I'm a Texas A&M graduate, did all of my undergrad work there, and then completed my veterinary education there. I was in private practice for 18 years, from Texas to Kansas to Montana to Arkansas. My wife's a veterinary technician, and we have one daughter that's 8 years old. And
there we go.
I think we have a picture of them there. My wife's a little under the weather tonight, but our daughter assures us that she's in good hands with her, and she's taking care of Mom tonight. But certainly my wife grew up in Florida showing saddlebred horses, and certainly in our practice career, we took every opportunity we could to support the 4-H and FFA, and even following them to the shows to really see the culmination of our support with those kids as well. And our daughter, of course, there's nothing on 4 legs or that swims that she's not trying to track down. And we're currently in negotiations for, I think it's a lizard now.
Oh, is that right?
I think so, yes, sir.
Does Tomlyn work on lizards too?
Not currently.
That'd be something coming up here. Well, let's, again, Eric, lots of new homes and new listeners on Rural Radio as well. There's kind of a quick history here of this great company, Tomlyn.
Get my earpiece back in, Mark. Thanks. And Tomlyn has a great story. Tomlyn was started more than 40 years ago by a veterinarian named Tom and his wife named Lynn.
How about that? Yeah.
They were a little frustrated at that time, 40-some years ago, with the quality of nutritional products and the lack of focus on really holistic, whole-body medicine that was there at the time. So they just started their own company. They started working with their own products, working with their own animals, kind of, as I said earlier, and developed a very good reputation in the industry, focusing at that time mostly on dogs and cats. Right after the turn of the century, Tomlyn was purchased by Nutri-Cal, the parent company that's focused on the veterinary side, whereas Tomlyn is focused on the animal owner. So Tomlyn benefits from the same science that goes into our veterinary products, same background, and really has the concept behind the Tomlyn products is a holistic approach to the health, well-being, and disease cure for animals, working with the animal owner to make sure we're providing that total balance.
And a lot of it's just, you already mentioned a word, it's all natural. People can take, I guess, a peace of mind to know that's how you approach the health of animals as well.
But yeah, even as we'll talk about some of the products tonight, you'll get a sense of the natural background to them and the thinking that went in to really make products that combine with the body, that work with the body to elicit a cure in the end, or to help enhance the well-being overall.
Showing just to some of the long product line, and in fact, Jim, you have a great product line there for dogs, cats, cattle, calves here. Recently launching a new product. We're going to spend a little time on that for our equine folks out there. Art Python. Is that Art Python?
Now, Mark, I have to remind you of what we did in this preparation. You have a brother named Art, and you and he are always fighting. So that may help everybody remember. Art and I are always fighting. So the product is Art Fightin'. The art comes from arthritis, and the fightin' from some of the natural products that go into it.
Very good. So let's talk a little bit more about this great product here, Jim.
Yes, sir. So it's really a unique supplement to support joint health. We know that it'll improve flexibility and mobility in a horse. So we want to be able to try to return this horse to function. But I think a really important part of this product, which may differentiate it quite a lot from other supplements, is the anti-inflammatory benefit to it. So we're really trying to address the discomfort this horse is feeling. So not only is it to support that horse's return to function, but try to alleviate some of its discomfort as well.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. By the way, take notes here, viewers and listeners. This is Rural America Live, and we'll be opening our telephone lines later in the hour. And Jim and Eric want to hear from you, answer your questions about this new product for horses, but any of their product line for your four-legged friends. Well, talk about, again, Eric, I guess, the significance of this new product. How do you see that?
Well, this is, there's a whole line of products we'll be bringing out under the brand, under the umbrella brand Equistro. And the Equistro products have been well known in Europe, especially among the sport horse people, for years. We have some of those who have helped us launch it in the U.S., including William Fox Pitt, who's very well known in three-day eventing. So we're just very happy to be able to bring them to the U.S. now because they fit that overall science, natural science and holistic approach that we try to do with the Tomlyn line.
And then, Jim, back to you talking about maybe the ingredients, some of the benefits of the new product.
Sure. Well, we really like to talk about Art Fight having really three different functions. First and foremost is cartilage protection, which is really what all joint supplements try to do at their very base. And so this product does contain glucosamine, and glucosamine is basically the scaffolding, if you will, for the cartilage itself. So we're really trying to support the cartilage that is being stressed, that is being degenerated through constant arthritic changes. But as we talked about earlier, what's really exciting for us is to offer a product that can also address the inflammation, the discomfort and the pain these horses are experiencing. There's an ingredient in there called Devil's Claw, and Devil's Claw has been shown to have very potent anti-inflammatory effects to relieve a lot of pain and swelling and discomfort. There's white willow in there, and white willow's active ingredient is basically an aspirin derivative. So people are very comfortable, both in humans and animals, the benefits of aspirin, again, alleviating much of the inflammation that's occurring inside that joint. There's black currant, and black currant has some more anti-inflammatory effects. And both black currant and Devil's Claw also act as antioxidants. And antioxidants basically are trying to diminish some of the damage that's being undergoing inside that joint from chronic inflammation. One last ingredient, and adding really a third prong, both cartilage support, anti-inflammation benefits, is bone support, and the fact that we have horsetail. And horsetail has silicon in it, and silicon's been found to support the bone itself. So we're really addressing three major issues going on inside that horse's joint.
And we'll talk about the kind of horses here in a minute, but Eric, I know other products that we introduce on RFDTV, you don't just introduce a product in 1 or 2 months. There's a lot of testing going on and laboratory research development, testing on places like, your farm and ranch.
Exactly.
And so is the case here with the new product here, Art Fightin'.
And we have the benefit with Art Fightin' of years and years of use in Europe,
Yeah.
even after all of that initial research was done. So when we brought it to the U.S., we put it through a few studies here. We did a little bit of work on formulation and the palatability and things, but we think we have a really good product that we know we can stand behind because of all those years of use in sport horses in Europe.
Exactly right. And Jim, we'll talk about it again later, but just people will say, wow, where can I learn more? Where can I get this product here? Where might they be able to pick up the product? It's available now.
Absolutely. It's available through your farm and feed stores and also available online as well.
All right. Now, the type of horses, we mentioned the performance horses, no doubt here, Eric. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the kind of horse that is going to be using and you would recommend people look at for this product.
So to do that, Mark, I would just remind our viewers that horses in their natural state maybe have a burst of energy of 100 yards every once in a while, and they have to go up plateaus once in a while, but they don't subject their joints to the stresses we subject them to, either with long trail rides or sport horses of any kind. So we've put them through other kinds of stresses. We have them growing faster, so young horses growing faster are going to have more stresses on those joints. And all of that just adds up in the end to an animal that needs more of that support in order to be able to really keep a healthy joint in those situations. So kind of recapping from that, any horse that's under extra exercise, sport horse of any kind, including trail horses, and horses in the growing phases when the joints come under a little extra stress.
I'm sure we're going to hear from our friends out there that have horses. What about an older horse, a 15, 20-year-old horse?
So as the horse age, I thank you for that, Mark, because as the horse ages, naturally the replenishment of cartilage slows down, and in us too, of course. So as that replenishment slows down, being able to provide those nutrients that are essential to the joint becomes even more important, even if that horse isn't exercising anymore.
And when would they want to? Is there a certain time? I mean, do you administer? I say administer. It's a pellet form. Do you do this daily?
Yeah, it's daily, and it's very palatable on its own if the horse isn't receiving other grain. Some mix it in with the daily grain or put it on top of the hay if they're feeding hay.
Would they notice, how soon might they notice a change if the horse maybe has a little bit of a limp, or they can feel, a rider can feel if the horse is performing the way he or she should?
Well, art phyton is a nutritional supplement, so it's not meant to cure an active problem. It's meant to be used in two ways: to give them the nutrients, the raw materials to prevent degradation of that joint, and then in combination with the therapeutic regimen to bring them back to health and then keep them there once you've reestablished that healthy joint. So to answer your question more correctly, it kind of depends on how bad the lesion is and what other therapeutic modalities, what other therapies being used with it. If we're just taking a very mild lameness that a horse is being allowed to rest and put on art phyton, it's probably going to take about 10 days to 2 weeks to really see the horse come back around and feeling good again.
So and that being said here, before we go to break here, so if you have a performance horse, you get a competition, a barrel racer, I always think of those, or it doesn't matter what the competition is, when you're really stressing that horse, maybe 10 days before you have that competition would be a time to start and or maybe add to the administration?
So I would think of it in terms of the season.
Yeah.
You know, when the barrel racing season's on, I would have them on, I would have my horses on, whatever their sport is, I'd have them on it for a month before, so they have those building blocks in place throughout the season. And my horses, my sport horses, will just stay on it all year. But you could potentially, if they've gotten through the season in very good shape, you could potentially take them off after that period, during the winter rest period, for example, bring them on ahead of the season again. You want those building blocks in place before the stress arrives.
Sure. Makes sense. Very good. Just getting a good start here. We're going to take a break here. But before we do go to break, we're going to open our telephone lines for you to join our conversation. We know you're taking a lot of notes here, and our horse lovers, but it doesn't matter what your animal is. We want to hear from you. Toll-free lines are open, 877-731-6733. Give us a call, 877-731-6733. Call in with your questions. We'll be right back. Our friends from Beta-Quinol want to talk to you. Hope you'll be giving us a call soon. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Real America Live. Mark Oppold, our guest tonight from our friends at Tomlyn and Vetaquinol. Joining me in studio, Dr. Eric Alsop and also Dr. Jim Lowe from Vetaquinol Animal Health. And our telephone lines are open for you to join the conversation for the rest of this hour. Don't wait too long. We know the hour goes fast and those phone lines are ringing. We want to make sure we get your questions answered. Toll free 877-731-6733. Anything we want to add to the new product that people are just joining us for the first time? And thank you for trusting RFDTV to launch this new product, Eric, the Art Fightin' for horses. But just a real quick synopsis of what the product is for those folks just joining us.
Well, it is a highly effective product. And one thing we do want to make viewers aware of is that there are some oversight associations for some of the competitions that because of the potency actually do, we believe, test for devil's claw. So we would recommend that if people are going into a competition that they discontinue use the day before the competition, at least 24 hours before. Is that enough, Jim?
Yeah, I think the safest thing to do is, again, devil's claw is a highly recognized ingredient because of its efficacy. And so we would suggest, depending on whichever governing body they compete under, to consult them. Most of these organizations are very readily available to consult with, and they will have a defined period where they would prefer you withdraw the product. The whole idea is for the welfare of the horse. The last thing we want is a horse performing under the influence of something that's masking some underlying pain. So we believe it speaks to the benefit of the product, but by the same token, we certainly want it to be used ethically, and the best way to do that is to consult your governing body.
Very well said. All right, we have a lot of things to talk about here tonight, Eric, but there's another great equine product here, which we've introduced before. I think it was on RFDTV when we introduced the Epic, the entire line, but you would call it Epic Daily to focus on here. What about that? Well,
so Epic Daily is an equine product, and I might start just by talking about the Epic line in general.
Please.
So Epic stands for Egg Proteins in Complex. And the science behind this is that an antibody from another animal can be very effective in a horse, a calf, a dog, in anything, if it's just impacting pathogens or bacteria or viruses in the gut. So these hens, these egg-laying chickens, are vaccinated and hyper-vaccinated with the diseases that are horse diseases. So in these eggs, they then produce antibodies to these horse pathogens, these horse diseases. That's in the egg white. And then that egg white is dried, specially treated, added to probiotics and other ingredients to make a product that provides immune protection, the extra digestive benefits of the probiotics, and general supplemental benefits. Now, taking that, sorry Mark, if I take that into the Epic Daily, which is the one specifically designed for daily use in horses, that same concept comes into place, and we've put it in place with the pathogens that are specifically equine.
And again, it's quite a history there that really, from an agricultural standpoint, here is where this is all derived from. And this has been, you introduced this how long ago, the Epic line overall?
Well, the Epic line dates back through a company called BioNiche for 15 years or more, right? And of course, you know some of the history from our previous discussions that there were, when dairymen used to have diarrhea that the calves couldn't seem to get over, there was an idea of, we'll give them some of the eggs give them some of the extra eggs from eggs or egg whites from the hens. Well, those hens are in the same environment as the dairy calves, picking out the stalls and everything else. So they're exposed to those same pathogens, the same organisms, and so they're developing antibodies to them, even though that they aren't impacted by them. So those eggs, they just had a sense that calves that were given those eggs did better and got over the diarrhea and other problems. And that was really the science behind it, which wasn't discovered until much later.
And that's something how it all works together.
Isn't it great? Yeah.
We'll get more on that here with you, Jim, but we have a caller on the line that took us up on the offer, and more are coming, I understand. Again, if you are just joining us and you want to visit with Eric or Jim, the toll-free number is 877-731-6733. We're going to go to the Show Me State first. Bob has given us a call. Bob, welcome. Go ahead.
your product. Have you done any studies about knee closures in 2-year-olds?
So we don't have any negative impact on knee closure. There are some products that you might be thinking of that actually increase the laydown of calcium and can cause premature closure of the physis, of the knees of young horses. So because of the natural and holistic nature of this product, it doesn't create any difficulty in premature knee closure. Does that really get at what you were asking?
I think Bob's gone here, but where might he learn more about your products and how it relates to his question?
So I think it'd be important to go ahead and go to the website, and either off of the number shown on the screen or the number he'll find on the website, we can put him through to Jim or me or one of the other technical consultants to make sure we dig into it a little deeper.
Yeah, very good. Bob, thanks for the call. That leaves a line open for you to join our conversation, and the toll-free number is 877-731-6733. And we want to get, we mentioned, Eric did a nice job here. We're kind of discussing or describing the history here of the Epic line and Epic Daily. Let's talk about Epic Daily as relates to horses out there for our equine folks. Jim.
Absolutely, and I think your viewers can appreciate what we're talking about with administering Epic Daily is much like administering colostrum to a calf. Colostrum is a form of passive immunity where we're giving preformed antibodies to this calf. This is opposed to what we're all familiar with as active immunity, where we vaccinate an animal and have them actively create their own antibodies. Well, simply with the Epic line of products, we're giving preformed antibodies, another form of passive immunity. So again, these hens are hyperimmunized with pathogens we know are important in causing disease in horses, especially respiratory diseases. This product is mixed with fiber through a bran source and used as a daily supplement. We know bran is very important because bran is very good for the digestive tract because of its high fiber content. It's a source of fat, so we can have some caloric control of that animal. And we also have vitamin E within that bran, which is an antioxidant. So it's also very high in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So what we have in a daily supplement is a product that supports the respiratory tract through those preformed antibodies. We have a product high in fiber to support the intestinal tract. We have a product that's going to support the immune health of that animal. And because of the antioxidants and those omega-3s, we can also even support the joints in this horse. I should also add there's also a product in there that will loosen up mucoid secretions in the nasal cavity. So loosen those up so a horse can breathe easier. So we really have a daily supplement that addresses basically 4 different systems within that body. So when we're looking at horses in competition, horses that are being hauled often, maybe horses that are kept in dusty conditions where maybe there's a lack of ventilation inside of barns, where they're being put through their paces, where they're under some stress. It's a very good way to very easily daily support them in their immune systems.
And how is it administered? Is it
absolutely just through the feed? So again, administered over the top of the feed, simply given as a supplement. So again, well tolerated by the horse.
Very good. All right. Again, you are a very important part of our conversation each and every Rural America Live program, especially tonight. Any 4-legged friends, animals, pets that you have, horses as our topic here at the moment. But I'd like to hear from you. Our telephone lines are open for you to join the conversation wherever you are. Love to hear from you at 877-731-6733. Look forward to hearing from you. All right. We talk about the administration here. Eric, and kind of, again, in what circumstances would you use Epic Daily?
So Epic Daily can be used as an all-around supplement for horses under any situation. The time you really think about it is when there's an extra stress that they might need that extra immune support. The weaning would be an early example. Weaning, training, the stresses that veterinary care, for example. Anything that you know is putting that horse under a little extra stress on its immune system that might need a little bit of a boost in order to maintain the health.
You made a great point here, Jim, that it's like that colostrum, that milk, that first milk, and you talked about that one of our very first programs. It's kind of Mother Nature takes care of that in the newborn calf in this case. Taking that in the same scenario, I guess, or foal in putting it together here in your Epic line.
You know, that's a great point to bring up, because several of our products try to get the benefit of what happens naturally between the mother and the baby, mammalians particularly, and get that same benefit later in life. And you bring up a good analogy in that for this, because we're trying to get some of that same kind of boost, passive benefit that happens with colostrum, but capture it later in life after colostrum is no longer of any benefit.
And again, folks that like what they hear, by the way, give us a call if you like what you hear and want to know more about it. Jim and Eric are be glad to visit with you. But where would they be able to pick this up, the Epic Daily and any other product we're talking about?
So any of the farm feed supply stores tend to carry it. If they have any trouble finding it at all, then contact us through our website, but they'll also find it on an internet search.
Jim, how does all this work together with your veterinarian? We have a horse with whatever the issue might be. We don't want to leave that person out of the equation here by any means. If you've got a problem with joints, you notice your horse just isn't performing well, this is a product you can get from a feed store, but what about that veterinarian?
Well, absolutely, and us both being veterinarians, it's something that's near and dear to our heart, and certainly we believe the veterinarian is integral. And many times when we're trying to consult with our customers, we really ask them to circle in with their veterinarian. The veterinarian is the best resource, knows the current health status of this animal, knows the current protocols these animals are on, and we are extremely comfortable with them and urge them to visit with their veterinarians. And we're more than happy to visit with their veterinarians as well to see if there's some way we can offer some additional support along with the other modalities that veterinary care is providing.
We have a lot of the viewers out there that have their pets that they love. Here we talk a lot about horses, and rightfully so, but dogs, cats, birds, whatever it might be here, Jim. And there's a long 40-year history of product lines from the folks at Tomlyn and now Nutri-Cal here. Maybe just listing some of those as we move on through this hour, and maybe our viewers or listeners will have a question about a dog or a cat that you might be helping with.
Well, I think two of our flagship products probably are Nutri-Cal and Laxatone. Nutri-Cal has been around probably 30 to 40 years now. It's basically calories in a tube, or we do also offer it in a tube, but it's a high-calorie nutritional supplement. And it's really added calories for any animal necessarily, but we also always think about it for puppies when we just need some extra calories in there. We think about these little toy breeds that can become hypoglycemic very quickly to add added energy in a necessary situation. Certainly debilitated animals, working dogs, the cattle dogs, when we need some extra support there. But that's pretty much our flagship. So many times people will say they've never heard of Tomlyn, yet they've heard of Nutri-Cal, and then we are one and the same. What we really tried to do with much of our packaging is really tell the client on the package what the product is. And this is the high-calorie nutritional supplement, but you can still see very small letters. It still says Nutri-Cal as well.
Great for hunting dogs, I would imagine. You mentioned working dogs, but certainly a lot of folks have hunters out there that they use. How would it benefit them? Just an example?
Well, again, with the increased energy exertion, they're going to need to recoup those calories. They're burning it faster than they can fill them back up. So we're trying to supplement them throughout the day. It could be a weekend at the beach. It could be a weekend working the cows. And so anywhere, just as if we're working out excessively, we need added calories, or you can become to get weak, faint, etc. And the same thing there. So again, purely as a supplement, it's not a vitamin per se. It's to add extra calories to provide them the energy they need in times of need.
And how would it be administered?
Actually, you can see there a variety of different flavors in the gel tube.
Hey, got flavors for the pets too. I like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We try to offer, because no supplement is good if we can't get it in the animal. So that's certainly the most effective way to give it.
Very good. We look forward to hearing from you. Again, our telephone lines are open. 877-731-6733 is the phone number. And our friends at Nutri-Cal and Tomlyn have invited one caller in, a lady from the great state of Florida, giving her testimonial. We talk about the Nutri-Cal, and certainly she has a story to tell. Let's say good evening here, rather, to Debbie Piper from Florida. Debbie, thank you for joining our program. You have been rescuing animals for many, many years there in Florida, and you could fill out the rest of the hour talking about some success stories you have with Nutri-Cal, but one of them that we wanted to have you share is a dog called Popeye. So Debbie, talk about Popeye and what happened with him.
Popeye I normally do French Bulldogs, but Popeye was a Dalmatian that was extremely sick, and he was, going to be put down. So I saved him, took him to the vet, and found out that he had parvo.
Okay.
And so my vet said, chances are not very good.
Yeah.
And I am a nurse paramedic, so I thought, well, I'm going to give him a chance. So I took him home, put him in my walk-in shower, started an IV on him, and about every hour I would go in there and I would put Nutri-Cal on my finger and put it on his tongue. It absorbs and dissolves very quickly and very good. And, of course, he didn't vomit it back up. And I do believe that because of that, calories and the IV fluid, the Nutri-Cal saved this dog's life. He didn't starve to death.
Wow. How about that?
So then he got adopted, and he got adopted by a volunteer firefighter. So he went to the fire station and rode on the fire truck.
I love that end of the story as well. We have some pictures there of your French Bulldogs, and we do have some time for you to share some thoughts about, well, you have at least, 3 or 4 of them right there in the picture we're seeing now. These are all rescue dogs?
Yes. Right now, I currently have 11 dogs in my home, all French Bulldogs. And I've used the Nutri-Cal. I raised a cleft palate French Bulldog and used the Nutri-Cal. I make my own blend of formula and would actually add the Nutri-Cal to it to give the extra calories. She now has been adopted, 8 years old, lives with a veterinarian specialist in Tallahassee.
And you find that Nutri-Cal is easy to use, and that the dogs will easily take it and without much problem, any problem?
Yes. Of course, when I was feeding Roma, the little cleft palate puppy, it was mixed in with the formula that I mixed up. So she wasn't just tasting it, but she was also tube fed, so there was no tasting to it. But on Popeye, he never once tried to resist it or anything like that. He liked the taste of it, and so he did extremely well on it. I swear by Nutri-Cal.
We have Dr. Eric Alsop and Dr. Jim Lowe here with us from Vetiquinol and Tomlyn, and I know that they may have a question for you as well, Debbie.
Well, the first thing I want to do is just thank Debbie, Ms. Piper, because you and the other rescue organizations mean so much in the overbreeding of dogs or misplaced dogs that just don't fit in their home. If it wasn't for people like you, there'd be so many more dogs euthanized or in squalid conditions. So first of all, thanks very much. We really appreciate what you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, good. And I would say that your experience is fairly common. I think some of the highest use of the high-calorie supplement Nutri-Cal comes from rescue organizations and like the ASPCA, all of the kennels who take in dogs, because as you well know, quite often you get them in less than optimal health, sometimes with diseases that impact their appetite, so they're not taking in food properly and maybe not digesting properly. So the importance of a supplement that's very rapidly absorbed, you've recognized it very well and shared a great story with us, and that's one of the most common uses of the product throughout.
Jim, anything to ask Debbie, or or make a point?
Oh, I was just going to say, make a couple of points. One, it's nice to talk to somebody from the east coast of Florida. We talked about that earlier. So, and also one of the ladies I work with, would probably walk to Florida to look at those French Bulldogs. He's a huge fan, so you may be getting a call very soon.
Very good.
Okay, well, make sure they show up on bath day so they can help me bathe them all.
I don't think that would be a problem at all.
Yeah, you got 11 dogs and counting here. It takes a while to do that. So again, Debbie, I guess it goes without saying that those folks tuning in are hearing maybe about Nutri-Cal for the first time, or they've heard about it, but not sure that it would work on their dog. You're a testimony that says, yes, it will, no matter what your dog's condition is.
Well, I'm a firm believer, too, and can't hurt, might help.
That's it. Debbie, thanks for joining our program tonight. And again, as Eric mentioned, our blessings to you for taking care of these animals and making a difference in their lives. That would be a lot different than if you were not around.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all very much, and you have a good evening.
We will.
too, man.
Thank you for making it that way. Debbie Piper from Florida here. Great story here, Jim. You can't get enough of that as people in your business. That's what it's really all about: is animal health, animal wellness.
And you brought up another point I want to reemphasize. That's part of the Tomlyn modus operandi, and that is first do no harm. Make sure we're producing products that she can trust, because her comment was, won't hurt, might help. So to have the trust in our product line that these products, I'm not going to hurt my animal and I might help them out. That's part of that basis that then moves into a holistic approach, working with the body's systems to help the body recover on its own.
Very good. All right, again, we've got a good start going. We've only about 20 minutes left in the hour. We hope you'll be part of that hour, the rest of that remains here, by giving us a call. We're going to go to break here, but our lines are open for you, 877-731-6733. How about your dog, your cat, whatever it might be, a horse, cattle in your operation? They can talk about it all here, and that's why they're here to help you answer your questions. We thank Debbie as well. We'll be right back again. Toll-free lines open, 877-731-6733. More with our friends from Vetiquinol after this. Be right back. And welcome back to Rural America Live. Mark Oppel joining me, Dr. Eric Alsop, and Dr. Jim Lowe from Vetiquinol Animal Health. Been a fast hour here. Hopefully helpful information for you from this great company. Our telephone lines are open for you to ask a question, maybe a comment. Maybe you've used their products and you have a testimonial yourself, like Debbie from Florida who joined us. So our phone lines are open, 877-731-6733. By the way, before the hour is over, I'll be giving you a telephone number that our friends from Vetiquinol have. So regular business hours, if you don't get through tonight, you can certainly call a number we're going to give you later in the hour here, that you can call them during the Monday through Friday and get a question answered or find out where you can get these products near you. All right, back to some other products here, Eric. We have more calls coming in here. Another group of products that was really pioneered by Tomlyn some years ago.
Yeah, another one of the real foundation products. People may know it under the name Hairball Remedy or under the name Laxatone. And when Dr. Tom and his wife Lynn were working on things 40-some years ago, one of the problems that cats have, so that cat owners have on a regular basis, is hairballs. Cats lick their fur as the meticulous cleaners that they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes that fur, particularly in long-haired cats, but also in short hair, can accumulate in the digestive tract. Kind of like a hairball you might get in your sink, Mark, actually, as it kind of mats up, it kind of comes together and the whole thing forms and keeps adding more hair until there's such a big ball that it's become an irritant in there. And it can get to a size and a dryness that it's difficult to pass through. You'll see a cat that'll be coughing and kind of hacking like it's trying to cough up or throw up something. And these cats need a little help and a little bit of coating and lubrication to help that pass out, so it ends up in the litter box instead of as kind of a mess on the kitchen floor. Yeah. That's what Laxatone's about. It's a very healthy, positive, no harm supplement that can be given. It's a gel. It's a gel. It's a gel that they like very well. So people, it's not always fun to try to stick something in a cat's mouth. Most people using the Hairball Remedy, Laxatone, just put a bead of it, squirt it out on the cat's paw, and the cat cleaning up everything that as it does, just licks it right off. And we, with our cats, they get it as a daily or every other day supplement to prevent that buildup. So we don't even wait for them to have any hacks or anything. They get it all the time.
Great point. It can be a preventative as well as a solution.
And the fun part about it, whether it's in the gel form or another form, a treat form, is that it's we use it as a treat. So you get a chance to give a treat to your cat with something that's good for them, too.
How about that? I like that as well. All right, back to our telephones, and we thank you folks for calling in. This is Robert from Texas. Robert, thank you for joining us. Now go ahead.
Yes, sir. I got a question for y'all. Got a 15-year-old mare. She has been foundered one time 3 or 4 years ago, but she got over it, and we've always kept her feet trimmed and give her everything we thought we'd give her to keep her good. And she's really good, but I was just wondering if this product here would help even better.
Well, I think it goes back, and thank you for your call. It goes back to what we were talking about in your relationship with your veterinarian. Certainly we know that founder is laminitis. Laminitis is much more of a foot issue, really the bone in that foot and its relation to that hoof wall, and certainly that's where her primary problem is. But we certainly do know that now with the pathology inside of her foot, the physiology and the physics in her leg are going to be different, so there are potentially some joint issues as well. And certainly the Art Phyton is going to be aimed at addressing those types of issues. So this is probably one where certainly I would visit with your veterinarian. Again, they can best assess where your horse currently is and see if the Art Phyton might provide some extra benefit.
Very good. Anything to add, Eric?
Well, I would just emphasize something that Jim said. We always think of that rotation of the coffin bone. We're thinking of just what's inside the foot. But as Dr. Lowe pointed out, that's changing the angles in all the other joints. So they become a little abnormal, putting more stresses on those joints. So it may be that some of the pain afterwards comes from the stresses that are put on those joints rather than just the initial pain from the laminitis. And your veterinarian could probably help isolate that through manipulation. They can isolate where the main discomfort's coming from.
Very good. Robert, thanks for the call. We'll move on from Texas to Pennsylvania. Mary, thank you for calling and welcome.
Hi, this is Mary Jane Anzella calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
We're glad you did. Go ahead.
We have a short hair cat. Her name is Cleo, and I think she's 10 years old. But
Go ahead.
oh, hello there.
No, you've been on with us. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mary.
So she's, you believe she's 10 years old?
Yes.
And what's your question? How do you have does she have an issue now that Jim or Eric can help you with?
Well, what it is that she has a problem where she's always licking herself constantly. So we went and took her to the veterinarian and gave her, they gave us the Tomlyn tuna flavor hairball remedy.
Right.
And what it is that the veterinarian, she told us how to give it, and we put it in her dish, and she's always, she takes it, but then the next minute we're trying to do what the veterinarian said about put it on your finger and put it at the roof of her mouth. But she takes it, but next minute she goes and throws it up.
Oh.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mary. We can, I mean, is that, I'm not sure how regular that is that you would hear that.
Very
Eric.
unusual that we'd have any regurgitation. I mean, if she gets it in her mouth and she's just had it so much that she's trying to spit it out, that might be something. Even that would be extremely rare. What I would suggest, though, is to take advantage of her natural cleaning behavior, because if she takes it in and ingests it intentionally, by cleaning her, if you just put like 1 inch to 2 inches down her forearm, down on the back of her paw, a lot easier to do than opening her mouth. And if you just ran it down there and used her own instinct to clean herself, to take it off, then she's ingesting it naturally. And I think that will make her less likely to be trying to spit it up. Do you think so, Jim?
Absolutely. And another opportunity might be that we do have a chew, which is another form of, it's not a gel. And cats being cats, and we have 4 in our house, it may simply be the gel that causes her discomfort. So we certainly have the same formulation in a chew. So it can be given as a treat that's going to provide that same type of benefit, and it may be simply giving it in another form that may be provided a much better way to get it down her.
And with that stimulus, I have to add one more for our caller. It's interesting that we all think that cats just love tuna, but in some formal palatability studies, it's something like 40% of cats that reject tuna, which is why we don't just have tuna flavor. So the other thing I might suggest, the treats, try one of the other flavors and just work with your cat to see what particularly works best for her.
Absolutely.
I find one that only that one will work for her, for Cleo, I think she said the name of the cat was. Very good. Thanks for the call, Mary. To Michigan, Jean, thanks for holding on, and how can we help you tonight?
Well, my name is Jean, and my pet is Bo. He is Lab and Chow.
Is it after Bo Schembechler?
Yes.
I'm a sports fan of all kinds, so from Michigan, it's got to be Bo. Go ahead, Jean.
Well, Bo, his back right leg, he's losing muscle tone in it, and if he goes to jump out of the car twice now, the front legs have hit, and there has been no muscle tone to hold his back legs up. He won't go up and down the steps, the basement steps now, because of that. Going up 3 steps outside, he couldn't get up those a week ago. I can't get him to go on a ramp because he's Chow and he's stubborn.
All right, let's see if Eric or Jim can help you out here.
Yeah, again, certainly it sounds like he's beginning to suffer from some arthritis, probably especially in those back hips. Certainly something you'd want to really focus on in a visit with your veterinarian so they can more localize. But certainly we know animals, as they begin to lose the integrity of those hip joints, the first thing that goes is their ability to really bear weight back there. Then we also understand through not using those back legs, those muscles begin to atrophy as well, or begin to shrink in size because they're not using them, and those hip muscles are so important in supporting those hips. So that's what's doubling the problems for him. And certainly we know they hurt. Oddly enough, it brings up a good point. We offer a product called Hip and Joint, and this Hip and Joint formula is specifically geared towards animals with osteoarthritis. You can see the pictures there. We offer one from cats to much older dogs because certainly the needs of these individual animals are different. But the basics of this product are to really assess those problems going on in those hips. There are high levels of glucosamine and chondroitin, which we had mentioned glucosamine earlier, just building block materials to support the cartilage that is left in those joints. But what we really try to do with our product is offer much more. There's an amino acid in there called creatine. Creatine is actually an energy source for those muscles because we're trying to prevent that muscle loss that you're seeing in your companion. So that creatine is going to help create some energy in that muscle and try to decrease some of that atrophy in there. There's a product called MSM, which we know has some anti-inflammatory benefits. There's also high levels of omega-3s, those same ones we talked about with the Epic Daily product. And those omega-3s are very anti-inflammatory in nature, so they're going to relieve some of that swelling and discomfort as well. The other nice thing we do is we use a really high-grade chondroitin called Perna, which is the green lip mussel. And that green lip mussel is a much more quality chondroitin product because it provides even more of those omega-3 benefits. It provides some minerals. It also provides more of those building block materials. So again, I would confirm that diagnosis, but certainly the clinical signs you're describing. And there may be some additional modalities that will give him more support, but certainly I think the joint and hip might be an option.
Very good. Good information. Hope that's helpful to you, Gene, and thanks for calling. Take care of Bo. Natural pet pharmaceuticals. Let's just touch on that, Jim, before we move on here with time remaining.
Well, absolutely. The MPP product line is really an attempt, as Eric has talked about, for us to really look holistically at therapies available. We know pet parents are now looking for alternative forms of therapy. My wife sees a chiropractor regularly. We know acupuncture's out there being performed on animals as well. And this is now looking at homeopathic medicine. And while I'm conventionally trained, certainly I can begin to appreciate what homeopathy offers. And it's really looking at ingredients that in larger amounts would cause disease processes in animals or people. But when we begin to dilute them down millions and millions of time into just very finite amounts, it actually stimulates an immune response in the body. And so it stimulates benefit. There's no contraindications to them. They're completely safe products, but they stimulate a different form of support. So if we look at a product like allergy support for dogs, one can only imagine the number of potential things that can cause allergies in dogs. Well, with this MPP line of products, we provide a multitude of different ingredients that all stimulate a different effect on a certain allergy symptom. This can be mixed in water very readily. There's no alcohols or sugars in them. They're tasteless and odorless as well. But it provides an alternative therapy for those looking for other areas to support their animal versus just conventional medicine only.
And Eric, with our time remaining here, one of their newest product lines here for pets, your multivitamins.
Yes, we worked very hard to get a multivitamin to the market that really fit with the Tomlyn philosophy and line, and one that we could really stand behind. So we're able to launch this multivitamin several months ago. It again becomes something in our household. We just have the variety of really good treats that are healthy for them too. So that multivitamin is high palatability, very good balanced supplementation for dogs in everyday life.
And one real thing here, real quick here, before we close it out here, Jim, talking about the topic, you already touched on it right there, there's the joint support from Tomlyn.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, really looking at not just providing cartilage support, but really addressing some of those clinical issues, trying to address that muscle loss, coming in a chew form, which makes it very easy to give to animals because, again, they think they're getting a chew, but providing multiple benefits in one.
And I know, was something you mentioned before we close here, Eric, about a lot of folks, a lot of animals, unfortunately, go to these shelters because they have behavioral problems. Owners may not know that Tomlyn Vetoquinol have a solution for behavior in an animal. Yeah,
for certain behavioral problems, because the #1 cause of death in dogs under 2 years of age is behavioral problems leading to euthanasia. It's kind of a sad story. So we have a product called Relax and Calm that has the ingredients that can help deal with separation anxiety, thunderstorm problems, the issues of anxiety that can really lead to behavior problems. And oftentimes owners are addressing the behavior instead of the underlying cause.
Well, we have just a couple of minutes left here. Time for closing comments. We thank you both for being here. And those of you that called in, got your questions answered. I'm going to give that phone number here in a minute. But Jim, always good to have you on set here and for the hour. Your closing thoughts tonight.
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity. And again, you know, the reason we have veterinary science in our name is we are a veterinary company, first and foremost. And so when we offer an over-the-counter type product, I always lean on something one of my colleagues talks about. We have a veterinary company standing behind them. So people, as Dr. Alsop has said, you can believe in the palatability, you can believe in the testing, you can believe in the quality, and that we're going to stand behind it.
Very good. Thanks for being here always, Jim. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Eric Alsop, you have the last word tonight.
So you've mentioned Vetoquinol, our kind of parent company of Tomlyn. The Vetoquinol products are focused, and our relationship is with the veterinarian. And the Tomlyn products direct to the animal owner are meant to complement that therapy that's set up with the veterinarian. So they're meant very much to work together. Veterinarians appreciate the opportunity to have the therapeutic approach, and for owners to have the chance to supplement those with the nutraceuticals, the holistic approach, the complete health approach that we take with the Tomlyn products.
And if they've not used your products before, they're going to be, any animal, I would think, can use a little better health and wellness in their diets, and this is where you come into play.
That's a great point. And we have them for the whole gamut. We have products that just maintain health. We have products that are for more serious disease conditions and trying to bring them back to that health status.
Very good. Thanks for being here again,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Mark. Good to have you here as always. Look for you. All right, we promised you the number. More information, you can also visit Tomlyn's website, tomlyn.com, or here's a number to call. Toll free is 877-580-7729. Again, it's toll free, 877-580-7729. Thanks for joining us. Another reason RFDTV is rural America's most important network. Good night.